Greetings to everyone. This is Rabbi Griscott with your sermon for the final days of Pesach. I hope everyone managed to have a good first few days of Pesach, even in isolation. I had one great moment of nachas from my son Ari, who was born on the eve of Pesach, so he just turned 3, and he stayed up with us for the two seders with me and Becca. Ezra was just a baby, sleeping, of course, but Ari stayed up through Karpas, which is Kadesh Orchatz Karpas, the third step, and he ate a little and went to sleep. But he asked on his own, unprompted, "Hey, why aren't we having challah tonight?" So I sort of laughed and said, "Well, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're asking questions. How is this night different from all other nights?" And we didn't even prompt him to do that. And I finally realized the wisdom of our tradition that, of course, children will naturally ask on their own. And I finally have a child who's old enough to ask this year. So I sort of saw the wisdom, the underlying wisdom of the Haggadah in action, and that was very gratifying. Um, Now, that's an example of a question that gives you nachas. Oftentimes, kids ask us questions that drive us crazy. One example of that is, are we there yet? If you're on a road trip, which sadly none of us are able to go on now except to the supermarket, but are we there yet is an example of an annoying question that kids ask. And that itself leads to a good segue to discuss a period that we're in now, which is the counting of the Omer. So today happens to be the fifth day of the Omer. Tonight will be six. So the counting of the Omer, we count 7 weeks from Pesach until Shavuos, which is the date on which we receive the Torah. And the question has been asked, why do we count up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The Sefer Achinuch asks, the book of instruction, asks, why do we not count down? When you're looking forward to something with great anticipation, you tend to count down the days. If we're looking forward to receiving the Torah, we should count how many days are left. So there's a number of answers given to this question. The Sefer Achinuch says it would kind of be daunting if you start counting. There's 49, there's 48, there's 47. Oh my God, there's so many days left. It's more empowering to count how much progress you have made. I've made 5 days, 6 days. Now I've gone 2 weeks into the Omer to chart your progress. Then you could ask, though, okay, when we get closer, why don't we then start counting down when you're close enough? And it's no longer daunting. And he says, well, because we're not going to switch the style in which we're doing it midway through. Okay, sort of a more technical answer. Rabbi Joseph Soloveitchik of Yeshiva University in the 20th century gives what I think is a poignant and beautiful answer. He says we're actually simulating the very first year of the Exodus, where the Jews did not know, they weren't informed by God when they would be receiving the Torah, right? We can't think anachronistically. We know because if you went to a Hebrew school or a day school that you were taught, or if you just attend shul, 7 weeks after Pesach, the Jews received the Torah, but they didn't know that at the time. So they could only count up. They couldn't count down the days. They didn't know where it was all going. So they had a sense of wonder. Wow, today is the first day after the Exodus. Today is the second day. Now it's 3 weeks. Where is this all headed? And Rabbi Soloveitchik says that itself is central to the religious experience, the sense of uncertainty and counting up, not knowing where you're going, but still following God through that desert, through that wilderness with perfect faith. And he gives other examples. So when God tells Abraham to embark on his mission, he says, Lech lecha, go, leave your father's house, ela aretz asher areka, to the land that I will show you. God is kind of coy. He doesn't tell Avram where he's going yet. That's Avram's first trial of faith. His 10th and final trial of faith, his greatest one, the binding of Isaac, his son. God commands him to sacrifice his son Isaac, and then, of course, calls it off at the last moment. But he also similarly says, Lech lecha el Eretz Moriah, go to the land of Moriah and sacrifice your son on one of the mountains that I will show you. He doesn't say exactly where it's going to be. Again, sort of playing coy. And finally, throughout the Torah, especially in the book of Devarim, in the book of Deuteronomy, the people are about to enter the land of Israel, and God tells them, you will have a chosen city, that ends up being Jerusalem, and a chosen temple on a certain spot, Bamakom asher yivchar, in the place that I shall choose. He doesn't tell them where that chosen spot is going to be yet. He says there will be one chosen location from amongst all the tribes. So Rabbi Soloveitchik asks, why is God so coy? Why can't he reveal where you're going? And he says because that's instructive, that's a central part of the religious experience that God first taught Abraham. I'm not going to tell you exactly where you're headed. As a frail, mere mortal human being, you can't know where you're going, but that's part of religious faith, is follow me, and I'll take care of you, and have faith in me, and we're in this together, man and God. So I find that very poignant about the Omer. We happen to know where it's headed. We know that it ends on day 50 with Shavuos, but we should at least simulate, as Rabbi Soloveitchik says, counting up in the sense of where is this headed. And of course, that resonates now with the period of the corona crisis situation that we're in. Nobody knows where it's ending. I find it very difficult. Beck and I always discuss, when do you think this is going to blow over? You know, we have my son Ari's up Sharon. Now that he turned 3, we're supposed to have our custom, Hasidic custom from our family, is to have his first haircut. And are we going to be able to invite people to that? Is it going to be over Zoom? People are speculating, oh, it'll be mid-May, it'll be June. How many more months will it be before we could reopen the shuls and restart life again? And in the end of the day, if you're a person of faith, it's actually more comforting not to know, to say, listen, I don't know where this is headed. I don't know where it ends. I surrender to God and I surrender to faith in a certain way. And I embrace that sense of uncertainty and that I don't have absolute power and control over the world, but I'll try to control what I can and just walk through that wilderness, so to speak, with as much faith and as much confidence and resolve as I can. So let's learn that from Abraham, from the period of the Omer, to embrace that uncertainty, but also to find it empowering and inspiring. I wish everyone a good and joyous final days of Pesach.